until 7:03. And I am going to go ahead and introduce you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Sister Leaders Guest Expert Session. And of course, I won't be on camera long because we have none other than Cee Cee Strong, who is our guest expert for this evening. And I cannot wait to hear what it is that she has to drop, the knowledge she's going to drop. So Cee Cee, welcome to the Sister Leaders community.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hill, for that amazing introduction. And thank you for having me here. I want to say welcome to everyone who is here live, and actually welcome for those who are going to be watching this later. I am CeeCee Strong, and that's basically the best way to describe me. A little bit about me is that I was recently retired as a lieutenant with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Now, why is that important? It's because of being mad in my resilience. So just some groundkeeping rules. I want your questions. I welcome your questions. Throw them at me. Anything that you have to ask, I'm willing to answer, because unlike the traditional dichotomy of community and law enforcement, I believe that the only way through and on our trail to better is to talk about it. So tonight, I'm going to share with you what MADDresilience is. But before we do that, I need you to do me a huge favor. I need you to grab a pen. So make sure you have it in your hand, and a piece of paper or your journal. If you have your journal, I prefer that, because basically journaling is a big part of how I was able to stay resilient in everything that happened. Now, the next thing I need you to do is to close your eyes. It's okay. If you're listening to this and it's recording, don't do it. If you're driving, please don't. Just close your eyes for a second, and I'm going to take you through what I went through. Imagine for a second that you are at work. You're sitting at your desk, and you have been with this company for almost 3 decades. You're eating a turkey sandwich. And I say turkey because I'm sorry, that's my favorite. But you put whatever condiments you normally do on your sandwich. And you know, if you smash potato chips on a sandwich, like when we were kids, that's the best tasting sandwich ever. But I'm going to have you imagine for a second your phone ringing on your desk. You reach for it, you answer it, and you're being asked to come to an executive's office for a meeting. What you don't realize is that the meeting was not just any meeting. You arrive at the office of the executive, and guess what? You are placed under an investigation for what? You have no idea, and transferred from your position. Now open your eyes. I want you to sit in that for a minute. Nothing wrong. Outstanding evaluations, always seeking to better the organization, and you're placed under an investigation and transferred from your position. Well, that's not an imagine only. That's what happened to me. In October of 2021, I thought, wow, all of the time that I have given to this large agency, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, I'm a lieutenant. I was a drill instructor. I was on national television. I always had an in the limelight career, and I always worked to do the right thing. But in a matter of moments, and conveniently, right after I had reported my own supervisor, as well as some dangerous things happening with the money, and unfortunately, spoiled food served to 3,000 incarcerated people. I had just reported that about 3 weeks before this happened. My idea is that they had to get me out of the way. Not only that, but my husband had the unmitigated gall to run for sheriff. Imagine that you are placed under an investigation. You know that it's false, but everyone else, what are they thinking? Imagine your reputation, the embarrassment, the wow factor, the drive home because of something like this happening to you. I was spiraling and my feet felt like lead as I walked down the hallway, trying to find my way out of the hallway and out of the building and into my car. Of course, I was hearing, Lieutenant Strong, how are you? Hey, Lieutenant Strong, good to see you. And I'm walking past all these people. And if you've ever been where you really don't want to talk, that's where I was. Now, let me tell you about what got me through that. You see, normally people tell you that it's not good to be angry. You shouldn't be mad. And you know what? Just have a sunny side up. And, of course, you shouldn't let this get to you. Well, I'm going to tell you something different because with all that happened, it did not take me out of the game. I leaned into my faith. I thought about the fact that, hey, I'm an intelligent woman. I went to school and I learned and read all these books, and I have all these notes and poetry and all the things that I do. There has to be more to my life than just, okay, oh, well, they lied on me. Let me just move on. I got to work. I immediately spoke out, unashamed, because I knew that I was telling the truth. I gathered documents and things that I knew would help in my defense, even though I didn't know what that defense was. And I kept it real. Let me explain to you what real is. It's realizing, hey, I've been wronged, and I have every right to be mad about that wrongdoing. It's exercising my right to sit in my feelings. I sat in the middle of the floor in our den for 1 full hour in full-blown tears. It hurt. And I know what that pain feels like. But I exercised my right to be angry and cry and to sit in my pajamas in the middle of the floor because I should have. And then I acknowledged those feelings. I didn't try to brush them aside and just look at the sunny side. And, you still have a job and you didn't lose it. And the investigation has to play out. I acknowledged, which is the A in real. And then I actually left it right there and I sat in it. And I made the decision that I was going to let myself be mad. Now, let me switch reels a little bit for what mad is. Do me a favor with that same pen and paper that I asked you to get out. Write these letters down. Write them across the top of the page. Write an M. Give yourself a little room for a column, the second one being an A, and the last column being a D. And I'm going to hold on to another D just to talk about a little bit later. Now, right up under the M in the word mad that you wrote across the top of the page, I want you to write mentally. Move on over to the A and write actively. And then finally, that last D, I know it's a mouthful, but demonstratively. It's demonstrative with the ly on the end. But what I'm going to tell you to do is get angry, get upset, be mad. Because even for me, in my Bible reading, it says to be angry but not sin. I didn't need to sin. I needed to get to work. So let's start off with the mental column. You want to be mentally resilient. What does that look like? Right underneath that column, I want you to write the TRY. You're going to try. What you're going to do is you're going to try shifting your thoughts from what just happened to me to what am I going to do about it? Am I going to accept it as truth because you have 25 people that at the moment you don't know are coming who are willing to attest to all of these lies that were told about you? Are you going to just give up and say, hey, well, at least they didn't harm me physically. I still have all my faculties and I have my job for now. You're going to shift your mindset, literally shift it into something else. I listed everything that I could think of that I was able and capable of doing. I was intelligent, highly educated. I have always been crafty and creative. And I started thinking about all the things that I could do. The next thing was that I was giving myself some rest. That's the R in try, in the TRY. I rested. I rested by just making myself lie flat in the middle of the floor. I would do some stretching. I would do praying. I would do everything to just get my mind off of the anger that I was feeling. And then finally, you want to actually dig deep into your intellect. You want to dig as deep as you can and journal your feelings. I don't care what they look like. I don't care how bad they are. I don't care if you're upset at some folks, if you're writing down names, but get it all out on that paper so that you're not getting it out on someone else. The ability to be mentally resilient takes a whole lot of strength in the face of an unknown. I mean, this is a Goliath of an agency. Huge. 18,000 staff members, which half of that number are sworn officers. And you're going against this agency, which is probably the biggest agency in the nation, maybe even in the world. Talk about my David versus Goliath moment. But you're going to try your mental resilience. It's all within your mind and how you're thinking about it and your strategy with planning your next steps. Let's do this. Let's move on over to your next column, the A, because guess what? You're still dragging along that anger with you. And it's okay, because as you start to build and grow, you will be able to shelve some of that anger. And you're probably going to need a little bit of that fuel as a reminder why you kept going. So for your A, you're going to write way. So you're finding a way. W-A-Y. Your first W or first letter with the W is to walk. For you, it could be running, it could be weightlifting, it could be whatever. But because of so many things and injuries going on with me as an officer over the years, walking was the best that I had to do at the moment. Not only did it help me, but it also helped me with the mental side of it. And I could reach back into my trick bag and think it all out. Have a conversation within my brain of, you're still a good person. This doesn't add up. You know you did nothing wrong. You have to fight back with this, but in a good way and in a strategic plan. You're going to always allow yourself to get up. Remember, I was lying on the floor on my back and I'm just vegging and decompressing and resting. But now I'm going to get up and I'm going to get active. Get out there doing something. And it doesn't have to necessarily be exercise. It could be if you are good at crafting. People knit, people draw, whatever your talent and the thing that calms you. For me, it was poetry writing. And again, that pen and the paper and journaling. You're going to write it all out. You're going to exercise it all out. You're going to remain active. And you are going to remember your worth, which is the why. Remember that because of what was said about you, it does not mean it defines you. Now, I'm going to pause for a minute before getting to that last D. And I'm going to share with you what I actively did to overcome and combat what happened to me. Now, remember again, largest agency in the nation, probably in the world, and I just got tossed aside. Forget all of the good work that had been done. It was politics. And it was also me having reported something that they would never want others to know. I got to work. I finished my master's degree. I opened an e-commerce business. I wrote a book, The Betrayal and the Badge. And I became a speaker and a coach, an international speaker, I might add. But each box that I checked off, it allowed me to shelve all of the things that I was feeling, but also capturing it. Because there is nothing better than going back and being able to have a program of your success, a pinpoint from where I was and where I am now. It's empowering. It allows your voice and your victory to be celebrated. By you having a vision of, this is where I am right now, and this is where I'm trying to get to, and you striving hard to get there, you win. You win no matter what the outcome is. Now let's get to the D, because you're still mad, and it's okay. But as long as you're continuing forward, you're going to succeed. That last D with demonstratively resilient, I know it sounds just like the active. I get it, but it's different. With this, simple acronym is YEP, YEP. The first one is your coach. Now, there's always good to have coaches, mentors, and have other people who pour into you so that you can see those holes and gaps and spots that you're missing. And they can tell you things that, you know what, nah, that dress doesn't look good on you, but I love you anyway. But you have to be your own coach. Coach yourself. You have to look and sit in what I know are my habits. The things that even with people looking from the outside, you can't understand. They can't understand, but you can understand them. You know yourself. Be your best advocate. Think about all the good things that you can do and write down a list for yourself. What am I good at? What did I do to help this progress or this process throughout to help better this organization that I worked for? And not just an organization, but anything that you're doing. Think about inserting you being a good mom, you being a good wife, you being a good daughter or a niece or a partner, friend, business partner. This can happen and be equated to anything that you experience in life. So back to the YEP. You need to be your own coach. You need to coach yourself through what you are going through. You will actually be able to show demonstratively the letter E, everyone, your family, your friends, you stay the course. If you suddenly shift and you retreat and it's so painful that you can't bear it, you show everyone that healing can happen. But I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be in the traditional way that you're thinking. You see, people will tell you again, keep a sunny side up. You've got to stay on the happy side of things. And that's true. However, if you are still feeling some kind of way on the inside, I would implore you to talk it out with someone. Show everyone that I can heal, that I am intelligent, that I am worth it. And yep, like the acronym, that I've got it. And demonstrate that to yourself and everybody around you. And finally, the P is that you are going to project out, even if you're not feeling good that day. Get up, put your shoes on, put on a nice outfit, go for a walk, take yourself to dinner. I call them candy bar moments. And this is what I projected out. I would get out, I'd drive in my car, I'd go buy my favorite candy bar, a Baby Ruth, by the way, and I would sit in my car and I would think about everything that could be, not what happened. You see, working for an agency or a company or being a wife or being a partner or being in business, you need to be able to go back to home base and to make sure that you are grounded in everything that you need. You need to be okay with being mad, mentally resilient, actively resilient, demonstratively resilient, and come to the front, come close. You need to document everything. But by documenting, it's not just the pen that I asked you to get earlier and the piece of paper, because how many times do we actually go back and read the notes that we take? How many classes have we taken where we take a ton of notes, but we don't go back and revisit them? I invite you to revisit everything that brought you forward in your MADDresilience. Be okay with going back and remembering what happened, and it's okay because you're going to see it differently as you heal. You're going to understand, wait, that came from a bad space. It was never about me. There was something else there that was supposed to happen. MADDresilience. And then documenting everything and digging deep within myself to find what is necessary for me to grow, for me to be, for me to feel. You marinate in every single part of it. And you journal it out so that you get it out in a script. And guess what? That script for me turned into the first book in a series of 4. The second one will be coming out soon, Spilling the LT, Lieutenant. So it's a play on words. But that second book, and then the third one, you're back against the wall. And that last one, my mentor told me that my career was not derailed. My destiny had been activated. And he said that a whole year and a half before. And just this past April, I won my arbitration process for the internal after it was finally deemed that my contractual rights had been violated and that I was disciplined without just cause. Had I given up and just moped and not fought back, I would not have been able to have that victory. If I hadn't had my voice heard, I would not have actually been able to speak and show the documentation to have the win. But it's not so much about the win of the arbitration. It's the win of who I have become in that process of being mad. Me being okay with being mentally, actively, and demonstratively resilient. And the documentation, by the way, is documenting everything. But there is a style to it. And I would love to share that style and that method with you. It's okay to be mad. It's what you do with it. And in this case, I balled it up into a tiny little seed and buried it in success. And you can do the same. And I invite you on the journey to be able to do just that, to be mad in your resilience and to keep going and to net success. And I am CeeCee Strong, and I would love to work with you to show you exactly how to use that pen and that journaling to survive. I would love and would welcome at this time any questions that anyone has for me. And I thank you for your time on this evening. If we don't have questions, but I welcome them all the same. So fire away. I'm ready for them.
There are always questions. So listen to the voice that's coming your way. And so my question, I have a few questions for you. Absolutely. Love your advice and love the acronym to help us remember, to be mentally, actively, demonstratively, and to document. But take me to, if I am someone who never documented, it just happened to me. When do we begin to employ the acronym? Is there a period of time where we allow ourselves just to feel before we move into the MADD, work our way through it? Because I would imagine when it first happens, whatever it is, it's numbing, it's very emotional, and some of us are in very different places. We have spouses, we have children, we have people who are depending on us, so we may not be able to in a visual way show how we're really feeling. And so what is that time frame where we can just feel what has just happened before we move into our MADD resilience?
Great question. And actually, it's going to be different for everyone. Believe it or not, when you ask about you, if you hadn't documented and now you just got to sit and feel, yes, that could be an hour. It could be 20 minutes. It could be a week. It could be a month. As you are progressing through, it's just continuing forward. And believe it or not, you're documenting even if you think you're not. Emails, text messages, things that you can go back and recall and say, hey, I know that I thought that this was what happened, but I'm not sure. Nothing beats something that was time stamped. But as far as sitting in and allowing yourself to be angry, to understand that I have these emotions, you're doing that all along your journey. It's not a switch from feeling to MADD resilience immediate. It's a roadmap. It's a progression through, and you might have to double back and grab the things on the shelf in the M level or the A or the D. And you may have to draw from different things at different times in your growth and going through all of this. However, what you will never do and what you need to remember is that you are not to lose yourself so immersed in that emotion that you don't even move the needle slightly forward, if possible.
I love that. My next question, I believe I heard you mention the term coach when you were talking. And so my next question has to do with professionals. When do we seek the help of professionals to kind of help us um, move through what it is we're feeling when we maybe don't feel as though we are qualified to even segment our own feelings and thoughts and different things. And so we may seek the help of professionals to help us kind of move through what it is that we're feeling. At what point in the process would we seek those individuals? Or do we?
I would say that each person deals with things differently, but I am a huge, huge advocate for getting help. And here's why I say that. There's a stigma about people with anything mental health and mental illness or things that devastate, break you. You're in pain. This is awful. What do I do? And our body is not able to just heal itself with everything when it comes to emotion. When it comes to devastation, we have to deal with it. So for me, I know, and it's tested and proven, that I have watched people deflect and I'm strong and I don't need to talk to anyone. But there is nothing like someone who has absolutely nothing to do with what you're going through. They're not a family member, they're not a coworker, they're not your regular doctor. It's someone that could sit there and cleanly and objectively hear what you have to say. They don't have their, well, I know that you can kind of be a bit of a whatever, you fill it in. And they don't have that assessment of you to throw in that might actually deflect from what you're really going through. So I say immediately seek help, especially if you're having any type of really dark or bad thoughts. And thankfully, I never did. However, I know others who have gone through similar who were close and on the verge of that. And unfortunately, with our profession, we're some of the last ones to go and seek help. I did it with losses of my family members. I lost my mom, dad, and my brother all in a row within 2-year period. And had I not gone and sat and talked with someone, I don't know how that MADDresilience would have helped me without that partnering of being able to get that story out. So the short answer to that would be, as soon as you feel bad to the point where you need to voice it, you need to seek help. And a lot of times that's immediate, especially when you're thrown a blow like what I was thrown. And I did seek help in answer to your question.
I love that. I'm going to come back on camera here so the world can see me. And so, how do the sister leaders community stay in contact with you? How do they find out all that you have to offer them if individuals find themselves in a similar space such as yours, where they can reach out to you and get your expertise?
Everything CeeCee Strong, like my sign here. All you have to go to is CeeCeeStrong.com. So it's CeeCee Strong.com. And you can find all of everything that you need. You can connect in with me, and I would love to talk with you. The best time to reach out is not when you're having a problem. If you're in a profession and you know that already people walk past that cubicle and you're kind of raised eyebrow, you're dealing with something and it's just like, I don't know what it is, but I'm going home and I'm not really enjoying working and then transitioning into my personal life. I welcome the ability to come alongside you and help you navigate some of those things and to draft a plan of that documentation that bubble wraps you, because I have a proven path that has helped me. And I am so grateful that it didn't completely take me out. So CeeCeeStrong.com is the best way to connect.
And I would be remiss if I didn't draw attention to your last name being Strong. It was almost foreshadowing what it is that you were going to be here as an expert to help us with as we navigate through these difficult times in our lives. And so I love it. Thank you so much for being the guest expert here in the Sister Leaders community. We will definitely post your session with your full bio. Are there any parting words that you have for anybody who is listening, who just any parting words?
My parting words to you are always of well wishes. And I will tell you that the best thing you could ever do in a non emergent situation, if you have some time, always pause, pray if that's your thing to do. If it's not, then think about whatever your next moves are going to be and then proceed. Often we knee jerk and immediately have a response. And sometimes it's not even necessary, it'll work out itself. So pause, pray, and proceed is what I would offer to everyone listening.
Pause, pray, and proceed. What a way to end the session. I love that. Thank you so much, CeeCee Strong.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Karen Hills Pruden.
Bye. Stay on for 1 second.